Okay, in the last session, we had seen the basics of the exceptions. Now we will see what are the types of the exceptions. So exception is nothing but it is a subclass of throwable. Okay, and the error is also the subclass of the throwable. Okay, all exception types are the subclasses of the built-in class throwable. Below throwables are two subclasses. Throwable, there are two subclasses that partitions the exceptions into two branches, exception and error. Exception is nothing but it is the runtime error which is happening at runtime, and the errors, it is used by Java runtime system to indicate the error having to do with the runtime environment. Exception class, it is used for exceptional condition that user program should catch. Okay, if you think that at particular end or at particular statement there is a chances of exceptions, then at that time you can throw the exceptions. Okay, so this is just the basic of the throwable. So basically under exception 13, 17 subclasses are there of the unchecked exceptions. Okay, so now we will see the next. So basically the uncaught exceptions is nothing but the exceptions which is caught by default handler. Okay, provided by Java runtime system. These are nothing but the exceptions which is handled by the system itself. So therefore those exceptions, we don't need to bother about it. The system is handling for them and we cannot able to caught them. Display the string describing the exceptions. Okay, so uncaught exceptions, it is caught by the default handler that displays a string describing the exceptions. Print a stack trace from the point at which the exception occurs and terminate the programs. Okay, so that is nothing but divide by 0. If the particular condition is happening, then at that time particular unrealistic situation is happening, the JVM is taking care of this uncaught exceptions. So now we will see using try and catch. Exception handling benefits allows you to fix the error. It prevents the program from automatically termination. Okay, automatic termination is avoided here. So that I have already told you that if you are considering the C program or C++ program, and if the exception concept is not included, then at that time, if you are entering instead of a number, if you are entering a letter, the system is entering into the infinite loop, so which we need to be terminated. Okay, but instead of that, if you are using the exception, we don't need to go for the same. The system will be terminated or the program will be aborted at that particular time only, at that particular time, and it will describe what we require. Okay, so here if you are considering this is a public static void main, which we are knowing these are nothing but the two variables. So this is nothing but the try and this is nothing but the catch. We are assigning certain value. So a is nothing but 42 and the d value is 0. So it is nothing but this, we know that this is nothing but a divide by 0 exceptions, which is the arithmetic exceptions. We can write it here directly the exception, because exception is a super class of arithmetic exceptions. But we know that this is specifically the part of the arithmetic, so therefore arithmetic exception. We are throwing the object E of that particular exception, since this is a static class, and here we are just giving the method, the name. So whatever the message that you would like to give, you need to write it here. So if you are running this, it is just showing the message as division by 0 error. Okay, and then after catch statement, so the system will be aborted at this end only. Okay, so another class like this. So what is the output of this? The division by 0. So this message it is just showing, and after that it is just showing. So after complete, so it means that from here we found the error at this end. Okay, so this particular statement will not be printed. If you had checked the output, this will not be printed. Why? Because the exception is happening at this line. So this is thrown from here and it is catched here. Okay, so after that all the statements will be executed, only this particular statements will not getting executed. Why? Because this is coming within this bracket. Okay, So another example. So here in this case, if you are considering the public static void main, the value of A, B, C are initialized. Random R is nothing but, this is nothing but the class which is available to get the random values from 0 to 32,000. Okay. So next integer that we are just considering, and here is a chances of exception. So therefore, okay, so try it is just coming and divided by B divided by C. Okay, so the chances of exceptions, and if the exception is happening, so that object is just throwing here and this message will be displaying. Okay, the value of A is 0. After that, set A to 0 and continue. Okay, so the value of A is 0. Okay, so throwable overrides the toString method defined by object so that it returns a string containing a description of exceptions. Okay, so basically it returns a string containing the description of exceptions. So this is nothing but the system defined. So divide by 0. So this message will be pressed, and this particular statement exception will not be executed. Okay, so whatever the thing is here, so whatever is happening, so that will be considered here, that is coming here, and that will be printed. Okay, displaying the the throwable, basically this is nothing but the class. It overrides the toString method defined by, so it returns a string containing a description of exceptions. Okay, so description of, so this is nothing but the throwable. So basically the exception, this exception is happening, and if it is happening again and again, the throwable class will override the toString method. ToString method is a method through which we can able to execute a particular statement, or we can able to write a string onto the output string. Okay, so I think this much is sufficient for today's